Hi guys, Mrs. Devlin here. We are going to be looking at the Mexico reading in this recording today. So, the people population. Mexico's population of 112.5 million people is growing at around 1.2% annually. Roughly 60% of the population is mixed Spanish and indigenous heritage. Roughly 30% belongs to various indigenous groups. Most of these are descendants of the Mayans and the Aztecs. About 9% is of European ancestry. Most Mexicans tend to identify with their indigenous and Spanish heritage. Over 75% of the population lives in urban areas. Mexico City, the capital, is one of the largest cities in the world. Its metropolitan area has a population of around 22 million. Guadalajara and Monterrey are also major population centers. Language. Spanish is the official language. The Spanish spoken in Mexico is somewhat unique compared to others. One characteristic is the abundant use of diminutives to express small size, endearment, or politeness, such as chico or chiquito. As many as 100 indigenous languages are still spoken in parts of Mexico. These include Tzotzil and Saytal, Mayan dialects, Nahuatl, Aztec, Otomi, Zapotec, and Mixtec. Most people who speak an indigenous language also speak some Spanish too. English is taught in secondary schools, but competence in English is pretty rare in most areas. Religion. Around the majority of Mexicans, around 77%, are considered Roman Catholic, although many don't go to church regularly. The Catholic Church has greatly affected the culture, attitudes, and history of all Mexicans, and Catholic holidays are celebrated widely. The Virgin of Guadalupe is the patron saint of Mexico and a national symbol. According to legend, she appeared several times to an indigenous man named Juan Diego in December 1531. Other Christian churches are also active in Mexico. Some are growing quite rapidly. The Mexican Constitution was drafted during the Revolution in an attempt to transfer power from the Catholic Church to the people. It guaranteed freedom of worship, but banned public displays of worship and forbade churches to own property or exist as a legal entity. In 1992, the law has changed, allowing churches with more legal rights. Although many officials ignored the previous restrictions, the new law relieves tension between the state and various religions, without forcing the government to endorse a specific church. General attitudes. Mexicans value friendship, humor, honesty, hard work, and personal honor. They also respect individuals who use their ingenuity to solve daily problems. Social status is measured by wealth, family name, and education. Machismo, or the ideal of a strong, forceful man, is still prevalent. The elderly are respected, very much so in the indigenous community. Mexicans are patriotic and generally proud of their country, despite its challenges. They may call people from the United States Americanos or Norte Americanos, but may sometimes remind U.S. citizens that Mexico is also a part of North America. The most common term used to refer to English speakers from the United States is a gringo, a Spanish word meaning foreigner. Mexicans traditionally have had a relaxed attitude towards time, though this is changing in some urban areas. Generally, they believe individuals are more important than schedules. Personal appearance. Most Mexicans, especially in urban areas, wear clothing that is also common in the USA. Many indigenous groups wear traditional clothing, either daily or for festivals. In some areas, a man wears a wool poncho or a serape over his shirt and pants when it is cold. He may also wear a wide-brimmed straw hat. Rural men and professional men in the north may wear cowboy hats, boots, or jeans. Rural women may wear dresses or skirts, often covered by an apron. They may use a shawl or a rebozo to carry a child, cover the head or arms, or help support water buckets carried on the head. Fabric designs and colors can be characteristic of a specific region. For example, people often dress up for special occasions. Customs and courtesies. Greetings. Mexicans usually greet with a handshake or nod of the head, although friends commonly embrace. People may also shake hands while saying goodbye. Women often greet with a kiss on the cheek, and men can greet close female friends in the same way. Common verbal greetings include buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, and como está. A casual greeting is hola. Mexican males often make piropos in passing to females, in which the females don't respond. Mexicans commonly have more than one given name and two last names. For example, José Luis Martínez Salinas. The next to last name comes from the father and functions as the official surname, while the final name is from the mother. Co-workers address one another by professional title followed by the first name. First surname, that is. Dr. Martinez. Acquaintances or co-workers without a title are addressed as señor, señora, or señorita, followed by their last name. Respected elders are often presented as don or doña, followed by a given name. Gestures. Mexicans typically stand close to each other while talking. They often use hand and arm gestures in conversation. Indigenous peoples may be more reserved around foreigners or a Mexican from the big city. A person can indicate no by shaking the hand from side to side with the index finger extended and the palm outward. The thumbs up gesture means they approve. Tossing items is offensive. One hands items to another person. If someone sneezes, a person can say salud. If passing between conversing individuals is unavoidable, it's polite to say con permiso, or excuse me. It is important to say gracias for any favor or commercial service rendered. Visiting. Mexicans are very hospitable. Unexpected visitors usually are welcomed and served refreshments. Refusing refreshments can be considered impolite. Unannounced visits are fairly common, but as more people get telephones, it's becoming common to call ahead to ensure the hosts are home. Mexicans enjoy conversing and socializing with relatives and friends. At a dinner party, the meal might not be served till after 8 p.m. because people work late and enjoy socializing before eating. Guests are expected to relax and do not offer to help the host unless it's evident the host needs help. They stay for conversation rather than leave at the end of the meal. It's considered rude to depart without taking leave of the hosts. On special occasions, such as Mother's Day, gifts are important, and in some areas, serenading is popular. Eating. Although schedules vary, many Mexicans eat 4 daily meals: a light breakfast, an early lunch, a main meal in the late afternoon, and a light snack called a cena or a merienda at night. The main meal may consist of a soup or salad, main dish, and dessert. Eating as a family is common. Urban professionals often eat meals at restaurants or street stands. Food is purchased on the street, and it's eaten in the stand where the item is bought. It's inappropriate for adults to eat while walking on the street. Spicy food is called picante, while hot food is called caliente. Picante dishes are often eaten with bland foods, like bread, tortillas, or rice, to relieve the burning. When eating, Mexicans keep both hands above the table. Some foods are eaten with utensils, while others are eaten by hand or using pieces of tortilla to scoop the food. Meals aren't rushed. One should always ask to be excused before leaving. Lifestyle. Family. Except in urban areas, where the trend is to have smaller families, Mexican families generally have more than 3 children. Family unity and responsibility are high priority. The divorce rate is low, partly because of the dominance of the Catholic faith, which doesn't approve of divorce. In many families, the father is the leader and provides economic support, while the mother is responsible for domestic duties. However, in some ethnic groups, the mother is the leader, and more women from almost all groups are entering the formal workplace. Rural men and women often work together in the fields. A household, especially in a rural area, can include members of the extended family. Children generally live with their parents until they marry, and sometimes even after they marry. Housing. Most Mexican dwellings, especially in the urban area, are box-like rectangular buildings, with few frills and little greenery. People like to make up for the lack of lawn outside by hanging lots of flowers and plants on the walls. Because of earthquakes, people in both urban and rural areas now build houses using cement blocks and steel bars, which are often left protruding out of the roof. Building a house is generally done in stages. Often, a site will be bought, foundations will be built, and sometimes one big room will be built. They'll then continue the project as money becomes available. Mexicans typically decorate their walls with pictures of ancestors, weddings, graduation photos, and religious art. In poorer homes, the sleeping area can be separated from the rest of the house only by a curtain. Rural dwellings used to be made from adobe or stone, materials ideally selected to the Mexican climate. The recent move to urban-style cement and brick buildings has come at a cost. Such homes are like ovens on hot summer days and refrigerators on cold nights. Dating and marriage. When dating, a young man often meets the young woman at a pre-arranged place, rather than picking her up at her house. However, parental approval of the activity and of the boyfriend is important. In some areas, it's considered a mark of poor character for a young woman to go out alone after dark, so a young man can call on her at home. Many people marry first in a civil ceremony and then in a church, following the Catholic tradition. Wedding celebrations, including music, dancing, games, and food. Common law marriage is practiced and recognized. Teen pregnancy is common, and unmarried women tend to keep and raise the child with their parents' help. Life cycle. Most Mexican babies are baptized. The performing of this religious ritual is the focus of a major social event, attended by lots of family members. Although legally, a Mexican girl does not reach adulthood until she turns 18. Her quince años, or 15th birthday, has also marked that transition. The quince años is one part religious ceremony, one part big party. There are exceptions, usually among rich families in the big cities, but most Mexicans do the bulk of their mourning in their homes and bury their dead within 24 hours of death. On the way to the cemetery, female mourners dressed in black carry white flowers. 9 days of prayer in the home of the deceased follows the burial. When these days are over, a cross is carried to the cemetery and placed on the grave. I'm going to go ahead and make another video for the final page here, okay? So make sure you click on that too if you'd like to continue listening to the reading.